What's up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? Boogie2988 coming at you live once again through the power of the internet. This is my rambling series. This is my vlogging series in which I talk about life, the universe, things around us, and things that are particularly interesting to me. What's most particularly interesting to me this week is I'm now currently 2 weeks out from gastric bypass, and it's definitely been a roller coaster of ups and downs. I want to get you caught up on all of it. So we'll start out with the good news. Obviously, I'm down a few more pounds. It looks like a total of 14 pounds since surgery. On surgery day, I weighed 592. Today, I weighed 578. So I'm not very good at math, but that seems about right. That's about another 14 pounds. Now, obviously, that weight loss is not sustainable. It eventually will slow down, and just like everybody else in this diet, I will hit that eventual plateau that I have to fight through. But as it is right now, it is kind of euphoric watching the scale, and more importantly, watching my body change. Or even more so for you guys, watching these giant shirts balloon off of me. I can't believe how poorly the shirt fits. And another good news, a lot of the issues I talked about last week are no longer issues. I'm not falling asleep all of the time. I'm pretty tired and I'm pretty exhausted, but I managed to stay awake and getting some work done and getting back to the normal grind of stuff, even getting a little bit of exercise and getting up and moving around the house a lot more. A lot of the pain that I was in last week has subsided, which is good because I'm pretty much out of those the high-end painkillers that were giving me anyway, so it's time to stop those and start working on dealing with the pain in other ways, which I'm kind of looking forward to, not so much because I know it's going to make it a little harder to sleep at night, but then again, I got so much sleep over the last 2 weeks, I probably have a surplus. But during week 2 here, a lot of new things did crop up, probably the most notable of which almost sent it to the ER, is that I was having some trouble getting my digestive system to just reboot itself after surgery. I was taking in food, but I wasn't able to put it out, which, to not gross you out, but basically means constipation. And it got so bad that at some point we thought we were going to end up at the ER. But fortunately, we were able to work everything out here at home, pun intended, and I'm feeling a lot better, but I would not wish that on my worst enemy. It was probably one of the most grueling and nightmarish experiences of my life. And it lasted for days and days and days. But everything seems to be working now, finally. And that's a fairly minor complication compared to all the different complications I could have had. So I'm pretty grateful that that's the one we ended up with. A lot of other little nuances there, little minor issues that I've been having. I've been having some insane vertigo issues, especially when I get up, set up, stand up, lay down, even walking around, rolling over in bed. And it's caused some incredible nausea as well. And we're able to treat those symptoms, but for the most part, nobody's exactly sure as to what that has to do with. Could have something to do with dehydration, because out of all the weirdest quirks that I have right now, I can't tolerate water for some reason. If there's an additive in it, I can handle it a little bit. If it's cold, I can handle it a little bit better. But I'm supposed to be getting 60 ounces of water every day, and guess what? I'm not getting near that much, so dehydration is probably a big part of it. That seems to be fairly common for the record. I see that a lot on my support groups and things along that lines. A lot of people say if you add a little bit of Mio or a little bit of lemon juice or something like that to the water, which we've been trying to do, it works a lot better. I've never been one for hot beverages, but I do find that a little bit of hot tea, even though I despise tea, goes down a lot smoother. So we are finding different ways. But basically, when they talk about the changes for your body, the tastes, the needs, all changing entirely, that's absolutely what I'm experiencing here. I despised warm beverages prior to this, and now it seems to be about one of the only things I can drink. Every time I do sip water, I can tell how tiny that little pouch is. And I can even feel like the scarring and stuff on the side. I can definitely feel what's going on in there, that water bouncing around a little bit. Doesn't work that way with a lot of foods. Doesn't work that way with a lot of hot beverages. But lukewarm or room temperature or cold water, absolutely, I can feel it. And it's a nice reminder of what I'm working with. And it's a nice reminder of how I've just drastically changed my physiology here for the better. In other good news, I am currently entirely off of all of my blood pressure medication, and we're getting very, very good blood pressure numbers. I'm currently entirely all off of my diabetes medication, and we're getting very good blood sugar numbers. Now, we do have to follow up with my doctors in the next month or so. They may readjust stuff. They may reintroduce stuff. We don't know for sure. But as it is right now, I'm walking around with controlled diabetes without any medication and controlled blood pressure without any medication, which is much better than I was off a month ago, much less 6 months ago or a year ago. Now, the 2-week mark is very important to me, and I think for a lot of people, because it does end the end of the whole liquids-only phase. And I'm moving on to a pureed stage, where I can now introduce some pureed foods. And that does mean like baby food and stuff for those of you who want to try that kind of thing. I did buy a bunch of it, so I will have some of that to try. I might make a video of it, trying different baby foods to see if they're any good or not, and see whether or not they are delectable at this period of time. But we were able to do some other stuff like fat-free refried beans with a little bit of cheese, which is really, really nice. Applesauce has been a nice staple. A little bit of hummus, a little bit of avocado, stuff like that, as long as it's nice and thin and pureed and very, very decent. I still have to prioritize protein because they tell me to prioritize protein. A lot of people have been confused by that. They want to make sure that I maintain the muscle mass that I currently have and the bone mass that I currently have during this rapid weight loss. That's why they want me to focus on protein. But it is nice to have these foods on the sides along with my protein to complement that stuff. Now, I'm also allowed to like puree some chicken and puree some tuna or fish and all the things along that lines, which is something I think I'm going to try to do. I don't think I'm going to like it very much. I think I'd rather have a protein drink at that point. But we're going to try it because, to be honest with you, I'm just eager to see how my body reacts to all these different weird and new foods. And of course, I think the magic of this surgery, and there's really no magic to it, but it really comes down to portion control. It is amazing to me how very, very little food it takes to make me feel satisfied mentally and satisfied physically. You know, I open up a little 100-calorie pack of avocado, a little 50-calorie cheese thing, and I dip the cheese into the avocado, and I'm like, this is great. I've had 75 calories worth of food, and now I'm stuffed. I have to wait a couple of hours to eat again, or even 45 minutes to even take a drink of anything again. It's really interesting because I've never been able to know that. I used to be able to order 2 pizzas at a time, eat 1 pizza, and start on the second one wondering what it would take to get me full. And that was years ago. So this is a really nice feeling to have, to wake up not hungry, to finally eat and become stuffed immediately like that. And because of that, I'm still having trouble getting up to that bare minimum 800 calories a day that a lot of people think you need to be getting, at least 800 calories a day. Most days I'm clocking in between 400 to 600 calories right now. I know I need to get that up, and I'm working on getting it up. That's a nice problem to have. It's such a nice problem to have, to try to get up to a certain calorie level rather than to try to stifle down. And the other magical thing here is this reintroduction of all these brand new healthy foods, which I would normally, have said, I'll pass over that vegetarian souffle to move on to the cheeseburgers, the hot doggers, or all that high protein, high fat, high sugar, high carb foods that I was used to eating. But now those things are incredible to me. That little bit of avocado, that little bit of fruit, that little bit of taste, that just little bit of. I can't wait until next week when I'm able to introduce leafy greens and things along that lines to my diet. And the week after that, I'll be able to reintroduce healthy lean meats again. I'm really looking forward to that because I feel like at one point my language with food was completely defined, and exactly how I was going to eat is exactly how I was going to eat for the rest of my life. And now all of these foods are so incredible and so scrumptious and so satisfying. It's nice as a foodie like me who's been obsessed with food my whole life. It's not that I'm giving up my obsession with food. I'm changing what I'm obsessed with. And if I'm obsessed with healthy foods, then I think we're going to be at a very, very good place. And I'm excited about that. But even with the side effects, with the nausea and the dizziness and the sleepless nights and all the crazy stuff that's been going on, I feel really excited right now because I'm at a point in my life and will be at the point for the better part of the next year where just 2 or 3 ounces of some really high quality nutritious foods is going to be very, very satisfying to me. And I'm going to have this forced calorie restriction where even when I'm eating, foods that are a little higher in calorie, I still can't get enough of them to keep me from losing weight. I'm very, very excited to be at that entry point in my life. And as these side effects begin to fade and as my body gets used to its new physiology, I'm actually kind of happy. It's been a miserable couple of weeks. Me and my wife have suffered tremendously because of this decision, and I think it's well worth the payoff because I'm about to go have a very small and very nutritious and very filling meal, and it'll only take about 30 seconds to eat and about 15 seconds to prepare, and it'll be stuff that I normally would have rolled my eyes at 2 weeks ago. So, exciting stuff. But the best news, and this is what I want to leave you with, is knowing that now that we're 2 weeks out, we have not had a major complication, no leakage, no drainage, no real pain, no real fevers, no real issues. It looks like I might be one of the lucky ones, regardless of my age and regardless of the size that I got the surgery at, to have no real major complications. Now, knock on wood, if you will, for me, because there's no guarantees. We're only 2 weeks out, but it looks like we might get to be one of the lucky ones without any too major side effects. A lot of minor ones, but no major ones. And all of the benefits without too many of the downsides, and I'm looking forward to that. And again, for those of you who are keeping track, that means I guess it was 535 we started the liquid diet today. 578, 478. I'll never get used to putting a 4 there, but that's a good amount of weight loss, and they told me to expect about 260 pounds total weight loss in the first year and a half. So we do know that eventually this has to slow down. But for those of you keeping track, here's what I look like today. Check back in a couple of months, check back in 6 months, check back in a year. For those of you who are still worried and still thinking that we may not be able to pull this off, but I got to tell you, we are currently pulling it off, and I'm loving it. So, guys, thanks for watching. I love you very much, and I'll speak with you again.